Folks, look at this delicious dish. It's what I want to show you how to make today. It's a simple, basic stir fry with delicious flavor. I'm making some stir fry. Let me explain something. When I was a kid, I was interested in cooking, okay? My folks finally figured that out. Mom started buying cookbooks. I've got lots of cookbooks over there. I've got sets of beautiful cookbooks. And from time to time, I still, even to this day, turn to them for ideas, for methods of approach, that kind of thing. And those were formative. You know, I'm looking over there because that's the bookcase over there. And those were formative to what I do in the kitchen for y'all. And that was only a part of it, because I was doing stuff like studying closely what people like Julia Childs and Graham Kerr were doing. And I had an interest in cooking. And I decided one year I wanted to walk. And that was because they'd become popular. It was the 70s. Woks became popular. Everybody had to have their very own hand-hammered wok. Like it mattered if someone beat on it with a hammer or something. It's just a metal bowl that you cook in, all right? Plain and simple. Now, there's different woks, different styles and sizes and shapes and things like that. And I think the best wok review I've seen was on, I think, America's Test Kitchen. They did a beautiful job on their review. But as with all of their reviews, always I find them a little bit short on information and on what the rest of the market did. So anyway, I received for Christmas, sometime in the 70s, a wok. And I started studying up on how to cook in this thing, because I'd never done it. And of course, at that time, you couldn't turn to the internet. It didn't exist, okay? So you had to turn to books. I headed to the library, and it was woefully short on information. There was a little booklet that came with the wok, and I found some other information on Asian cuisine, Chinese cooking, and I learned from that, okay? And I learned how to prepare a good stir fry back when it was just first becoming popular in the United States. Of course, it's been around in the East for a long time. Well, recently I bought a new wok. Right there. I got a new wok, and I decided, you know, that beautiful old wok that I received so long ago, that it has so many miles on it. Oh, wow. I've cooked so many meals in that wok and impressed so many friends. And I decided, you know what, it's time for a new one. I want a stainless one. I want one that matches the stuff that I have in my kitchen. So I replaced it. Anyway, I decided, you know, I got this new wok, and it was for personal use, but I thought, why not? Why not teach my audience what I learned as a kid? And that's not cooking in a wok. That is being willing to overcome fear of spice. I was trying to cook my first meal in a wok, and I said to my mother, I don't know how much of this to use. How much of the garlic or the ginger or these other items do I use? And she said, son, I don't know what to tell you, except you can't cook if you're afraid of flavor. That kind of opened my eyes. And I was like, okay, I kind of get this. I'm going to go in for it. And I cooked my first meal in a wok. And I thought, this came out really good. I'm going to use a little more of this and a little less of that. And I changed my spice combination. And the second meal came out even better. Well, when I was finished with that dinner, everybody was quite impressed with me. And I was rather pleased with myself and with my new wok and with newfound skills. And I discovered something. I discovered if you want a meal that's really easy to prepare, even if you go fancy with it, wok is a pretty good way of going. You can cook fast. You can cook basically 2 meals at a time in this size wok at the speed that a wok should cook. You're cooking at high temperatures. You're stirring the foods. The foods come out fresh, clean tasting, with all of their nutrition intact, and there is a flavor here that cannot be beat. So I'm going to show you how I spice mine up and how you can get a delicious flavor on your stir fry and show you how easy this is. Let's get in the kitchen. Come on. Time for the walk. All right, folks, our stir fry is going to be simple. Now, I want to make this clear. You can use any vegetable you want or any amount of vegetables, and the same way with the meat. Beef, pork, chicken, any kind of meat you want. You can go with turkey. You can go with tofu if you don't do meat. That's cool. And any vegetables you want. Just remember, some vegetables take longer to cook than others. Carrots are hard and they take a little while to soften. Where something like broccoli can be eaten firm, so can the carrot. And but if you put, let's say, something soft in there, you know, like bean sprouts, well, they're going to cook down too quick. So think about that. We've got broccoli, beef. To flavor this, I have some ginger and garlic here. Also, a little bit of salt, but be careful with it because the soy sauce that we're using over here has plenty of salt in it. We're going to be needing a little bit of cooking oil. When you're going to be doing stir fry, there's a couple of simple rules. Number one, you stir it, okay? You don't just let it sit there and fry. It's not sit there and walk off fry. It's stir fry and you're supposed to stir it. And the idea there is to not necessarily brown things. We're not looking for caramelization. We're looking for cooking throughout without any caramelization. And that's sort of the beauty of this kind of cooking. It leaves a very natural flavor in the food. So what I want to do is I want to turn some heat on underneath this. I want to set my flame to a high. And the reason I'm doing this, when you're cooking in a wok, you cook with a high flame. That's the way it works. And the whole idea here is extreme heat and fast cooking. It's basically flash cooking. Very little oil, nice, comfortable amount of spice, and it makes for very good food. The beautiful thing here is there is not a lot of cleanup. All right, if you want, as you can see, there's a few bowls, but those just simply rinse clean, you know, with a little light sponge work. They are in the dish drainer and drying off, and it's not hard. And of course, you don't have to pre-measure your spices and all. Just gently dust them in. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to heat this until I get a high enough temperature to get a searing temperature on the bottom. And that's what we call, what I like to call. That's our Leidenfrost temperature. And that's the temperature at which water will form a vapor barrier between a water droplet and the hot surface. And it just kind of rolls around in there. It'll bounce off the sides. It doesn't do a whole lot because it won't sizzle off. So if it sizzles off quick, the pan's not hot enough. We put a little water in it and it's starting to bead up. See there? In the bottom, that's what we want. So it looks like my pan is at about the right temperature. Now there's a little oil up on the side of the pan here, and I want to forewarn you. When you use that water method to test, that's okay, but dry the pan off before you put oil in it. If you get water and oil in that hot of a temperature, you're going to have an issue, okay? So a little bit of oil, any cooking oil will do. I personally am using peanut oil, and if you notice, I get it up on the sides of the wok. Now my food starts with the beef. Now at first it's going to want to stick a little bit, and that's sort of in the nature of beef. And we're going to give it just a moment to cook, and that way we get a good cook on the beef. We only need a light cook on our broccoli. Now, if I was cooking carrots with this, I would throw the carrots in with this because they're a little harder. They take a longer time to cook. Looks nice, doesn't it? You go ahead and get broccoli in there. Now folks, this kind of cooking is too simplistic, okay? And the best thing here is that we get food that is ready in minutes. And it's fresh and delicious. Doesn't that look beautiful right there? Yeah. I'm going to give it just a moment more, and then we're going to hit it with spices and seasonings and then let it cook just a little longer after that. So if you're going to let it sit and cook for just a moment, only just a short minute, long enough to grab, other ingredients and things like that. So just brief moments in the pan, and that's perfectly fine. At the same time, remember, we're constantly cooking over high heat. Now, if you're ever cooking in a wok and you have something to put in here and cook while everything else looks mostly cooked, push those items up on the side and use the center of the wok as your station to cook in. That's one of the advantages of this kind of cooking, is you have that advantage. Isn't that nice? Very simple. All right, next, my spices. There we go. They're just acting a little bit funky on me there. So I'm going to gently dust these over the top, just like so. And I'm going to put in some of my soy sauce. And I just drizzle that around the sides. Okay, and like I say, only a few tablespoons there. I had a total of 1/4 cup, and I have at least a tablespoon or more left. So that's somewhere around 3 tablespoons I put in. I want to say this, the ginger, the garlic, and the soy sauce, they work together in this beautiful, harmonious way, okay? The flavors that you get from this simple little combination are incredible. I'm going to use up the rest of my soy, only because I like that flavor. And if you want salt, remember, the soy sauce has salt in it. It's sodium rich. So very, very tiny amount if you use any at all, okay? So there's many things that you can use on this to flavor it with. I'm using just a very basic seasoning combination that works very, very well when doing simple food like this in a wok, all right? Isn't that beautiful? All right, for the most part, you have your food right there. It's ready to go. It's finished up. If you want to do a little bit of cooking down on that sauce, that's fine. Let's get these things up on the side here, and that will allow my sauce to cook down and thicken a little bit, and then I can re-toss the vegetables in that and the meat before serving. So this is a neat thing to do right here. All right, so make that sauce a little thicker and richer, and now look how well it is sticking to everything. All right, heat goes off and my food hits the plate, okay? It's just that simple. Now I like simple, basic, earthy food like this. In my book, it's just the way to go. Whoops. Now a little cleanup on my plating. The quantity of everything I used today started with the beef over here. Any cut of beef you want. Now I used a nice pretty steak for mine. I have plenty of those around, so I used a lean strip steak and I got 8 ounces of it. This over here is 6 ounces of broccoli. And to this I'm going to use 1/4 of a teaspoon of garlic, 1/4 of a teaspoon of ginger, and anywhere from 2 to 4 tablespoons of soy sauce. Taste it, and then if it needs salt, put the salt, but otherwise don't. That's what I'm talking about. Very simple. Just right. Just like Mom said, if you're gonna cook, you can't be afraid of flavor. Don't be afraid of this. Give it a shot, even if you've never done anything like it. Give it a try. You're gonna like it. You're gonna like the flavor it gives you and the consistency. Remember, you're not looking to overcook things. You want them crisp and fresh. You want things like that broccoli to still have a little crunch to it while being heated throughout. Oh man, my mouth is just watering right now. The spices are so good. They work together so well, especially with that soy sauce. You put ginger and garlic with it. It pops. Folks, thank you. Whoops. Thank you. Thank you very much for watching. If you would, take a look down underneath this in the description box. There's going to be some links there. You're going to see links for my website, which is where I sell my recipes, and also a link there for Texas Cooking Today, Chef Trotters tips, some other things that are there, some of my projects that are going on. If you would, take a look at that. And thank you very, very much for watching this, folks. You have a good day, all right? Bye-bye. Ooh, man, I love this stuff.